Hello, YouTube friends, sewing friends, knitting friends. If that's describing you, then welcome to my channel. My name is Cheryl, and the name of my channel is Bluegrass Dreams to Seams. I've been watching vloggers for probably a little over a year and a half, really more seriously since COVID, and I enjoy it. I love learning from other people, and I've learned so many techniques, and so I'm hoping that maybe joining this community of sewers slash knitters, that we can share ideas in the comments, give me pointers as I continue along my sewing journey, which expands over 50 years. You'd think I'd know everything by now, but I do not. By far, do not know everything. I'm still learning, and there are so many new tools out there, some I don't know about, and people suggest things, and so I enjoy it for that purpose alone, if nothing else. But I've learned new ways to finish seams, and not just necessarily just always use my serger. So anyway, here we go. The top I have on today is a Butterick 6634 by Catherine Tilton. This is the top right here. Has these little zippered pockets on the sides, a center seam in the front and the back. There you go. I've made this top twice now. The first time I didn't do the collar quite the way I was supposed to, and therefore it just didn't really look that good. I wore it, but it just looked kind of awkward to me. So this time I bought this little fabric here at Joann's. It's kind of like a moodle type knit. They had it on sale when I purchased it. So I thought, well, you know, why don't we try again and making this. I did buy the little zippers here to make my pockets. I sewed this on my new Bernina. I'd been trying to learn how to use my Bernina new machine. Been wanting one for about 3 or 4 years, and finally said, you know what, it's time, and I've been subbing and I deserve a treat. So I treated myself. You know how we are. So I made this garment. Haven't been able to sew on it since because, you know, we got Christmas coming and all like that. So I've been getting ready for that, which means I've been knitting more. Anyway, some other makes, just so you kind of get to know me and what I like to do, and I do kind of challenge myself a little bit, but I also do some simple things as well. So there's a little place up in Maine I like to go to. It's in Belfast. It's a little artsy shop, and they have fabric and patterns and quilting and I don't know, all kinds of things. And so I went there and I bought this pattern it's by a company called A Verb for Keeping Warm, and it's called the Tendril dress. So here it is. It's cut on the bias. It's cut out of linen, and the first time I made it, I didn't have linen on hand, so I just thought, well, I just want to see what it is. And that's when I discovered the front and back are exactly the same piece. I mean, I laid them on top of each other, and I could not tell any difference whatsoever. So the second time I made it was just here toward the end of summer. I had picked up some lavender or purple looking linen. So here it is. And it is cut on the bias, and it does give really well, you know, a little more room. And I went to someplace and I bought some little calico looking printed floor fabric that kind of matched it, and made my bias tape for finishing the neck edge and the sleeve edges. It is very comfortable to wear. I did decide to modify the front pattern piece just slightly where it would drop down, and that's just so I know the difference between the front and the back, because the only other way I could tell would be the seam finishing. I did put my seams toward the back, and I did these seams that I think they're French seams, but I cannot even remember that right now. I've been playing around with seams and now I can't remember what they are. So anyway, I just did a regular serged hem on the bottom, and stitched it in place. But other than that, I mean, it's a very, very comfortable dress to wear. I probably could put leggings with this and a turtleneck shirt or something like that, and wear it right now because, you know, it's dark. So we wear dark colors, and we're supposed to wear dark colors in the winter, but I don't follow all the rules. Rules are made to be broken. Back, I guess, early spring, I was watching the big sew along, and Jenny, she made Simplicity 9044, this shirt right here. I'd had the pattern, was afraid to cut it out, but it was a good thing that I watched her episode that day because she talked about how much ease was built into this pattern. 12 inches, I believe it is. And she's really stressed, cut a smaller size, which I went down probably 2 sizes. And I think it fits me fine. Some people think I could probably gone down 1 more, but I don't think so. One thing, well, here's mine. I bought the fabric in Nashville when I was visiting my daughter at a place called Textile Fabrics. And they were having a sale, so I thought, well, you know, let's just get this. It's kind of like a batiste. It's very sheer. I don't know that I would do that again, although it is very lightweight. And I was pretty proud of myself for getting these to match fairly close on both sides. This side actually matches a little better than the other side. I'll let you see that again. See, this is a little bit off, and this one was perfect. It's the shoulders. I didn't take it out and try to redo anything. Some things I would probably do different is there's 2 lines that you have to bring together. You know, it's your stitching line. You bring your stitching lines together and you get this, it's about a 3/8 of an inch tuck. And I think that if I was to make this again, I would try to mark a center line so that I just have 3 lines, and that would be my fold line. And then I would stitch 3/8 of an inch away from the fold line. And another thing I think I would change is I wouldn't cut this where it's got this center seam. I'd make it to where it is on the fold, because I think that just takes away a little, especially with this thin fabric. Now on a not so sheer fabric, it probably wouldn't bother me at all, but on this one it does. Another thing I made before we went up to Maine this past fall, because I wanted to go up for blueberry season, was I made this little shacket here. And that's Vogue 1689. I was very intrigued by the pockets here. And it's by Marcy Tilton. I do love Marcy's patterns. Now, I've had a few that I don't like as well on me, but for the most part, I feel like she designs well for my body type, because I'm thicker around the waist than I should be. But, you know, that's what happens when you age, I think. But that's my excuse. Anyway, love this jacket pattern. And I bought my fabric again, I believe down in Nashville when they were having that sale. And it's this little sailboat print. I had the buttons in my stash. Things I like about it is this facing is top stitched down completely. So it doesn't, you know, bother you when you put it on. You know how sometimes it'll fold up and you're like, oh, trying to tuck it down. I don't have to worry about that because it is sewn down. The cuffs detail, you have this nice placket. Now, the first time I put it in, I thought I misunderstood the directions. And so I took it out and did it again. That's this part, just attaching it and getting it in place before you fold it. But when I folded it the second time, it just didn't want to fold correctly. So I took it all out again, and I did it the way I did the first time. And I think I just was overthinking the directions. Really, I really do. This looked more correct, so I went with that. I did have to get some different buttons because I didn't have any tiny buttons. So I just made sure they matched this cotton linen blend that I had left over from another project that I accented with. These pockets, recommend you take your time. Don't get in a hurry. Just, your iron is your best friend. There are some mistakes in mine, but the iron did kind of make things lay a little more flat. I do get compliments on the garment. People love it because it's different. I think they like the pockets, to be honest with you, and the buttons. It just everything pulled together really well. I love wearing it with just a pair of stretch pants, and like I said, it's roomy and comfortable, which is what I want. A recent make, and I can't find my pattern. I have no idea what I did with it, is Burda patterns 7429. And I had bought this paisley fabric from Hancock Fabrics of Paducah. Now, most quilters are going to know what that is because he is definitely a quilt shop. But this was on the remnant table, and it felt more like a cotton that I could use for a shirt. So I just loved it. I went back later and I bought this cotton linen blend to kind of pull out some of the pinks in the shirt. And what attracted me to this pattern was the fact it has a double collar. So there's a collar band, collar 1, collar 2. And then it had this, I think they call it a reverse placket that's put on for the buttons, the button band. I like that. So basically there's part of, when you're folding this placket back on this side for the buttonholes, part of that placket is removed, and then there's enough for the seam allowance, and you sew it on this edge, and then you fold it back over the fabric itself and stitch this down. So that's how you make that. You also have nice cuff detail right here, and you got your cuff 1 and cuff 2. Of course, you only put the button in one part of it, so it folds back and makes that. I like that. I did put in the upper pleat right here, but I did not do the lower darts on the front or the back. And that was because I was a little concerned cutting it to the size I normally cut, that it might not, it might be a little snug or too snug. And I was more worried about the too snug. A little snug I can handle. Too snug, I knew I wouldn't be able to wear it unless I just wore it like a jacket, and I didn't want to do that. So I left those out, and it's a good thing because it would have been too tight. So anyway, if I was to make it again, I'd probably cut the middle a size bigger, so maybe I could put the little darts in the front and the back. But I usually cut a smaller size at the top and a bigger size for the middle. And I seem to run into that a lot when I'm watching these vlogs, that most people always have to cut multiple sizes, if not at least 2, but some people are doing 3 different sizes and blending their lines. So what is planned is I have this pattern here that I want to make this solid view. I think I've made this before. It's another Catherine Tilton pattern. Yeah, her patterns fit me really well too. The two sisters do a really good job of designing their patterns. So what I bought for it, give me a minute here, because I buried it, is another Moodle from Joann's, and it's just a dark color, but I needed something to go with a knitted piece, and it's called my Zipline scarf, and I think this will look pretty good together. The Zipline has the regular garter stitch knitting you start off with, and you knit till, I don't know, you get to a certain point, and then you start this brioche pattern. And so anyway, what I did is I had this multicolor sock yarn, a colorway in the purples and gray tones, and I just had to make sure that for my second yarn I had to pick a lighter tone of gray. So here's where you can see the lighter tone of gray, almost a white gray color to get that to pick up. But I still like that colorway to be more shown off than this side, so it should have looked like this on the lower part, but I really like the color. So I'm not a big gray fan, but anyway, so instead of making this my starting yarn, which if you know anything about brioche knitting, you know that one yarn is color A, one yarn's labeled color B, and then you switch when you do the second set. So it would be B, A for start off. And it takes, you've got to knit 2 rows, each color across the front, and that's row 1 after you've done those 2. And then you flip it over on the other side, and then you're working 2 rows of your yarn color A and B. I know that sounds confusing, but if you've ever done brioche, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I love it. I think it'll look great with this. I probably could put it with a gray sweater as well for a splash of color. But anyway, for right now, that's the plan, is to make this simple top. This is just sleeves, 2 pieces for the front, and I think 2 pieces for the back. And I'll do a self band for the neck edge at least. And then just general hem for the cuff, or the arms, and the lower hem. So that's that plan. Toss that out of the way. Another thing, I was hoping to get this made before Christmas, but really my Christmas is New Year's, so I have a whole full week yet. This fabric here I bought at, if I can get it unwound and turned around where you can see it, is a rayon, and I bought it at a place called Let's Sew in Evansville, Indiana. I love it. It's just gorgeous. It's kind of a hot pink and red, and that really pretty lavender line that goes down and joins each one of those little shapes. What I'm wanting to make is another Burda pattern. Because I like this rounded yoke. Now this is subject to change. I think the reason it hasn't been cut out is because I keep thinking about it. I'm overthinking it. But I want to make sure. So here's a line drawing. I love this rounded yoke and the I think they call it asymmetrical buttons. Placket, I could do either view. I could do it the collar like this, and then it's got hidden buttons, or I can do this, and I really like this. So my dilemma is I'm thinking about adding a piping, because you've got to line up, I feel like anyway, I would have to line up all these little tiny lines, and maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I'm overthinking that too. But anyway, I bought also, this is a rayon, and I bought some of it, and now that's going to look really holiday-ish with that shine in there. But I thought if I did a piping out of this, maybe not so much, and I would run the piping along the edge of all the way around this circle. Or I could cut it out of that, but again, you start getting into that. It's definitely going to be holiday-ish or party-ish, and I don't want it to be that. I want it to be something I can wear to other places besides that. So I guess I do have the option of maybe using this side, but I don't like it as well. So anyway, it's still out. Let me know what you think. Help me out here, girls or men. I need help. What should I do? My granddaughter wanted me to knit her up a sweater for Christmas, which I did. I still have to block it and put the buttons on it, but isn't this cute? I bought this yarn. Which one did I buy? I had the blue, but I had to buy this here. Or maybe I needed to buy both. But anyway, we have a dyer here, well, close to me, called Tuscan Rose, and she dyes a lot of yarn and stuff. So I went to visit her and bought the yarn to make this sweater, and I just think it's adorable. And offhand, I don't have the pattern handy to tell you what it's called, but anyway, I'm giving that to my granddaughter for Christmas. She knows she's getting it, so my grandsons are getting this hat. This hat, I've had this kit for a long, long time. It's 3-needle bind off on the top, and you had these 3 yarns in it. There's a thicker yarn for the band, which the band was supposed to be knit, I think, 3 inches, and then half of that is turned up to, you know, to be worn more like this. But when I first made it, I didn't like it, so I reduced the band to 1.5 inches. And anyway, the pattern I'm using is called Snow Bites. And so there's the hat right there, and then there's some little mittens. I might make the mittens for my youngest grandson. My older grandson, he won't wear those. So that's one project for them. Almost done with that second hat, so I'm really getting close to having Christmas finished for the grandchildren as far as something handmade for them. Another sewing project, which I'm thinking about going ahead and trying to get done soon, because we'll have colder weather usually in January. I say that and then watch it be in the 70s. If you live in the States, you know what I mean. That's pretty warm. I want to make this style art pattern sunny knit top, and I bought some fleece again at Joann's to try the pattern. It's just a basic bluish, well, kind of heather, but it's real soft on the opposite side. And it has, like, you know, the back seam here, but the front doesn't have one seam down here, and then, of course, the off-the-shoulder seams for the sleeves. One thing about style art patterns, I wouldn't recommend them for a beginner sewer, but somebody who's made a basic top and maybe has a few of those underneath your belt, you'd probably be okay with. Your directions come like this. 3 little sheets, see, like this. You get a picture that shows you the finished garment, and after it's sewn together, kind of laid out before you do those side seams. You get a sheet that shows you pattern layout, and this about the finishing the neck edge seam, how to do that. And then there's 7 steps listed right here to piece this garment together. So some people may read that and go, oh, I could do that. But if you're really not experienced, it could be challenging, I think. And then there's this that has size chart and more what the pieces should look like. So that's all you get. So you're not going to get pictures to go along with those directions. You're just going to get basic information. I don't know how other way to put it. This will be my second style art pattern to make. I made one back earlier in the spring, and I really did enjoy it. If I had read a little deeper, I probably would have found they did include a little picture to try to explain, kind of like what they do here with this collar band, or not, well, finished edge band that goes up here at the neck edge. Some directions like that. I didn't see it and messed it up and had to take it out and fix it. So anyway, I learned off of one simple little pattern. Ready to do another simple little pattern, and then in the spring I want to make a little like a lightweight jacket. It'll have a zipper in it and that kind of, it's a style art pattern, just kind of a little windbreaker type thing, and I plan on making that. And of course it's got a couple of little pictures, but not with the directions. It's separate, so you have to, you know, search for that on one of these little pieces of paper that you get. I have a local printer here in town that I can email my patterns like this to her, and not just in my email, I tell her to please print at 100%, and she always makes sure she knows what she's doing. She's done it for a friend of mine as well, and I've been very pleased, and the price is reasonable. So I think I had 2 or 3 patterns printed down there, and it was around $30 to get all that. So like I said, I was very, very pleased. Came home, cut them apart, and put them in some envelopes, and created my own pattern envelope. So very, very pleased with that. Other than that, that's my plans. Again, my name is Cheryl, and this is my first video, Bluegrass Dreams to Seams. And if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have suggestions, please make them. I don't know how to do any editing or adding an introduction. I'm hoping to learn from someone that's going to try to help me with that. So these will evolve over time as I learn things. But this one is just going to be shot straight to you. This is me, and it's who I am, and so hope you enjoy, and Merry Christmas.